more. And wait for Amazon to get some data. And we'll go live on Amazon. All right, we are ready to go. Okay, well, you know, I was not planning on buying one of these things, but my phone, my iPhone 11 Pro is working just fine, but I have some issues with it. Namely, I think I blew out the speaker on the handset here. I'm not sure how I did that. And I could have just done the Apple Care and got another one, but I said, you know what, I'll just get the new phone, because people were asking about it, and it doesn't do anything that my current one already does, except the HDR video. So, what the heck? So, you know, I'll be trading in the other one, and that'll be it. Or maybe I'll get it fixed and give this to my wife or something. We'll see. So, there you go. Yeah, so I am not going to defend my purchasing decision, because it is indefensible. But what is defensible is the unboxing, which we're about to do. And I'm going to set it up. I'm not sure how much time I have, because I have to, it's like 4:15-ish, and I've got to go help get dinner and the kids going in a little bit. So we're probably not going to be on terribly long, but we'll be on long enough to get this thing set up. And what I've already done is I've done an iCloud backup of my existing phone. And I have found that if you have an iPhone, the iCloud stuff is the most convenient. And the reason is that it just works, both for photos and for you know, all the other stuff you do. Like I just put it on the charger at night, and it just backs up to the cloud. I do the 2 terabyte iCloud family deal, and that's been working out pretty well. So that's the scoop there. And I'm getting lots of positive reinforcement right now on the YouTube side. If you're watching on Amazon, you can chat on the Amazon app. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the Amazon link and follow me on Amazon if you don't mind. So there you go. So we've got a lot of folks dialing in. So the usuals are shuffling in, as Billy Joel would say. Max Stock is here. Thomas Mole is here. Paul is here. Evan is here. I'm just going to go through as many as I can before I start going here. My buddy Hot Sauce is here. Gary is here from Australia, from the other side of the globe. This is like amazing. We live in the future. Matthew Stevenson is here. B. Talbaba is here. I'm just going up through the list here. Sati. And see, now I've got some positive reinforcement. Here's DC417 thanking me for that. Greg M said, I fix it. It's got a tear down already. DK Savage is also giving me some positive feedback here. And Jack Bowman says, go HDR video. And wow, I got a lot. I'm going to have to keep clicking here. I got Flood of Sins and Matt Green. DC147 is much smarter than I am. He doesn't like to spend money on himself. That's good. You shouldn't want to spend money on yourself. The good thing for me is that I have monetized my hobby. That's my excuse. BK Bird is here. Good evening. Frank Mula is here. Wow, everybody! I'm running out of clicking here. I gotta get Jake on these things to click the button for me. We've got VML36i5 wants to know, does iCloud also back up contacts? Yes, it backs up everything. Actually, I sync my contacts to iCloud, so that works really well. And that's what's nice, is that this will take a little bit to restore, which is why the stream is going to be a little wacky. But the result is that after everything's restored, your phone is exactly where you left it. There might be a few apps where you have to log back into stuff, but by and large, it's like right where you left it. And I think they've even gotten better at the Apple Watch stuff now too, so we'll see what goes on from there. We got some more folks popping in. So Ryan Moon is here from Canada. Daniel Terry is here. We've got Marco from Maine, and Jaisel from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro. We've got Ed from Florida. Marizes is here. I'm not sure where he's from, but he's got a palm tree back there, so it must be warmer than where I am. T-Dub has a dead battery. Time to upgrade maybe. Could be, or you could just get that battery fixed. You know, here's what's funny, and you know, this came up actually last night, as a matter of fact, because they had a conference call for everyone that got one of the review units of the Pixel 5. By the way, I paid for this. So the Pixel 5, as you all know from my review, is running at a slower rate than the prior version. By the way, Mark and David's devices are in on the Amazon chat too. And that was a big topic of discussion last night, and they made a very conscious decision. They said, you know, people don't really notice the performance differences. So, you know, they wanted to get a 5G chip, they wanted an all-in-one chip solution, so they went with the lower speed versus the 4. So I'm eager to see what Apple does, because this thing, I never got the full performance out of my 11 Pro, and you know, with its chip. This one's got an A14 in it, which is the new, you know, the new Apple chip that apparently is going to be in the new Mac, and it will be in the iPad Air that we'll be getting in a couple of weeks as well. So, you know, there you go. All right. DC147 says, would it be quicker to do the direct transfer option versus restoring from an iCloud backup? Not with my internet, because it comes in super quick. But yeah, you could do a USB backup to a PC, and that would certainly do it. Monty said I left his title up and didn't say anything, so I'm going to put you back up here, and I'll say hello to Monty. Zachary wants to know, can I do 60 FPS for streaming? I could, although I'll probably go the 4K route, because I'm going to start recording at 4K 30 at some point. So we could do that. But yeah, I could totally do it. I just have to, the problem is that all of my cameras are at 30. So I could do, here's my choice. I could do 1080p 60 for recording and live streaming, or I could do 4K 30. And I'm more apt to go on the resolution than the frame rate, but you guys tell me, and gals tell me what you want to see. So we'll see. Max Stock wants to know if I got the MagSafe charger. No, I didn't. I probably should get that. And before we unbox this, maybe I'll start the unboxing because I want to talk about that. This power thing is not a move to save the environment. It is to save them money, and I'll get into it, because I just want you, before we start, note the size of this box. This box is half the size of, or half the thickness of the prior iPhone box. Okay, just keep that in your head, and think about containerized shipping. You cut the box volume in half. You can pretty much double or significantly increase the amount of phones you can fit on a container, or the amount of phones you can fit on an airplane. So your shipping costs are dramatically reduced. Yes, it's more carbon efficient because you're able to put more phones in the same volume, but you're also, you know, saving a lot of money on freight, and you're saving money on the charger, because you can charge $50 for the charger now. I mean, yes, it is a carbon footprint thing, but let's face it, they're making money and saving the environment at the same time. That's the deal. Okay. Let us, so here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be recording an unboxing so I could get something up on this phone tonight. Because I got to spend, you know, these phones take a long time to review. I got to go take pictures. I got to run performance benchmarks. What I've got to do tomorrow is drive all over the place looking for something 5G to connect to. So that might be the topic of Monday's wrap-up, by the way. So yeah, this is going to take a little bit. And then it's like, well, what's the difference, right? Because it is all the same. And David's Devices says, you're not saving the environment when a customer has to order a charger anyway. That's true. And you got to ship the chargers. That is true. But that's where they're able to make, because they're making margin on those chargers. And when they're giving them away, because they didn't lower the price of the phone. So there you go. So the phone costs the same. It costs less the cost is less because there's no charger to include with it. And they save freight. So it's good. It's a win-win for Apple, not for you. Not for you. Okay. Here we go. Let me start recording here. So we're going to do the unboxing, and then we'll set it up. All right? 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got another unboxing. I had an impulse buy the other day and decided to purchase the iPhone Pro 12. This is the smaller version. I like the small phones. I have an iPhone Pro 11 right now, and we're going to unbox it in this video and get things going here. And then I'm going to have a full review of this in a little bit. I'm going to start this again. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. I just got in the iPhone Pro 12, and I'm upgrading from my iPhone Pro 11. And I wasn't really planning on buying a new phone, but I figured, you know what, it would be interesting to review this new device. And we're going to unbox it now, and I'll have a full review up a little bit later, because I do need to spend some time learning about the device, taking pictures, and also driving around looking for 5G hotspots that I can connect to see how the 5G works on it. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this unboxing, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So here we go. This is the phone. Ooh, it is pretty though. So you got a nice stainless, I think this is stainless steel here on the side. It looks really, really nice. So let's undo the front screen protector. It looks very similar to last year's phone, which I happen to have right here. Although it feels a little thicker. I mean, maybe it's just because it's a flat device. It is a little larger. The screen is definitely a bit larger. And as pretty as it is, I will be covering it up with a case at some point because you've got the ability to really break these things quite easily when you don't have a case on them. I did get the Apple Care because I have found over the years that it's good to have the Apple Care versus not having it. Now, one thing you're going to notice, actually a couple things you're going to notice missing in this box as we boot the phone up, is that we no longer have a charger included, and that's because Apple took the charger out. So you can charge it, of course, off of a USB-C power adapter. You've got the Lightning to USB-C cable here in the box. But if you don't have a charger for USB-C, you'll have to hook up an older Lightning cable or go out and buy one. And there's also no headphones, no earbuds in the box either, which you used to get with these phones. And as a result, they've been able to make the box much smaller. And this means that they can make more money because they're able to ship out many more phones in the same volume. So although this might look like it's a good decision environmentally, it also allows them to make more bucks off of you because they saved a lot of money on freight. There's no charger in the box, and they are charging you the same price for the phone. Now this one is a 5G device, and although I don't have many 5G options near me, there's apparently some Verizon nationwide 5G towers that are getting set up not far from me. So tomorrow I'm going to drive around and see how those work out. And what I'm going to do now is get the phone booted up, and I'm going to swap in my SIM card from the old phone to get it activated on my service, and we'll have a full review coming up very shortly on it. It does have the 3-camera system on the back like before. This one can now shoot the Dolby Vision video, which will be kind of fun to play around with as well. So we've got a lot of work to do on this phone. It does look very pretty, and we'll have a full review coming up soon where we'll dive into all of its features and see how it compares to prior versions. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. How was that for an unboxing? There wasn't much to look at. It's just like a phone and a cable. That's it. So we'll see what we get. So I got some comments coming in already, and I just have like this white screen here. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, so I have to select my language. Now here's what's interesting is that my current phone is recognizing that there's a new phone on the network here, and I can actually copy my phone to this one. So I'm going to do that real quick. And it says waiting for other phones. What I have to do is hold up, there's like an image here, so I've got to point my camera at this one. And it's going to transfer all of my data over. And what I'm interested here is to see if it's going to also copy over, so I have to enter my passcode of your other phone. Okay, so let me do that real quick. So I'm eager to see if this is going to copy over my Apple Watch as well. I think it's going to do that. And I will tell you right out of the gate here that the screen on this one is definitely larger. This does feel like a slightly bigger phone than my last one here, although the bezels are not as substantial. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so now I got to keep these two phones near each other, and we're going to let these things kind of play out here. And we'll see what happens. So let's let that run. And yeah, so how are you all doing today? Because I got to wait for this to finish. Okay, so now it wants to set up my Face ID. So let me do that. So how to set up Face ID. Let me see if I can show you what it's showing me. So it wants me to get my face. Okay, so let's do that. And I've done this before. I'm just trying to find the right angle here that I can use. So let's get started. And I'm just going to, so it wants me to move my head in a circle. Okay, so then it did that first scan. And let's see if I can get, oops. Yeah, let me just do it right now and then I'll. Okay, second Face ID scan is complete. All right, so now it says that Face ID, let me zoom this camera out a bit here. So now it says that Face ID is all set. Let me get a better angle here. Okay, so we can click continue here. And I'm going to transfer, so I could transfer directly, which is going to take 1 hour and 45 minutes. But I guess that's going to be quicker than the other way, right? You can start your, okay. Oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this one because this gets me going quicker. And it'll just download everything later. The problem is that I'm going to have to wait for all of this stuff to get done before I'm able to start running the benchmarks on it and stuff. But we'll see what transpires there. And I'm just waiting for this to finish up. And I've got a bunch of people on Amazon chatting as well. So let me zoom this out just a little bit more so you can get a look at the phone and see what it looks like. Okay, so I just need to put in my Apple ID password here again. So, okay, that's the Apple ID password. You know what's funny is that nobody in my family can remember the Apple ID password. And I keep getting calls from my family members like, I can't get in. Well, I don't know what your password is. So they got to call out. I mean, it's like a constant problem. And this is why people get their accounts compromised, because nobody knows the password. All right. So now I need to use the password for my Mac for some reason. Okay, well, I know that one too. Okay. So I've got like 3 Macs actually, but we'll see what this one comes up with. Yeah, so it's definitely bigger. And I'll tell you what, I really liked this size phone. This one really, this is the old one. I really did like the size of this one, but the screen, like this one, the bezels are definitely thinner, although it feels a little bit larger. And when I have a case on it, it's going to feel larger than that. Let's see, we're going to do update backup. So I'm going to restore from the, yeah, so I just did a backup a little while ago at 419. So that's one of the things, like if before you do your phone setup, you want to run the backup on the old phone, just like go into the iCloud settings and run it, and then that way you'll have everything up to date. And what I usually do is after that's complete, I just turn the Wi-Fi off on the old one so it doesn't back up again, and then I wipe it out once everything's over. So we're going to restore from that October 23rd backup. And I'm just going to go through the settings here, and it will start. And what's nice about this is that it will get you going quicker than you think. So, oh, so here's the Apple Watch component. Do you want to use my Apple Watch with this phone? Yes, I do want to do that. And improve Siri dictation. I'm not going to share you with that. I'll share with the app developers. Why not? And now it's going to restore from iCloud. And this part actually will go pretty quick for 2 reasons. One, I've got a pretty quick little internet connection, but also because it just downloads the bare minimum data. So it gets your contacts over. It gets all of the basics brought up. And then what will happen here is it will start in the background restoring all the apps and their data. So it is a longer process, but you can get at the phone a little bit quicker. So in the many times that I've been at the Apple store swapping out phones, usually it's done before I walk out the door. Okay, so let that restore real quick. And Sally says, do you wave your hand in front of your face and say these are not the passwords you're looking for? I try that every once in a while. And Sally says, I think something is going on with the geolocation and Verizon setup of 5G. Yeah, from what I understand, you can use your 4G SIM card with it. So that's, so when I start driving around tomorrow, I'll see what goes on there, and we'll kind of figure it out. Let's take a look here. Lots of comments here in the chat. And again, this looks like it's going to take a while, but it really will be done pretty quickly. So Verizon has two different 5G connections. You've got the millimeter wave, which involves having all those little towers everywhere. And I'll show you their map, because they actually have a whole map here. So if I go Verizon 5G map. And then they have this nationwide 5G, which is, I forgot what the technical term for it is, but that is kind of running like piggybacked onto the 4G network. So you're not, I think most people, unless you're like in a major city, are not really going to see the bandwidth benefits of this 5G initially. So here, let me pull the map up here so you can see what it looks like here. And let me get this. Let me get this brought out in its own window here. Okay, so, and I just need to do one other thing here. Let me just turn off my. It was on. Okay. So here is the map. And anywhere and this is Verizon, so everyone else is going to be their own thing. So you can see like the blinking circles is the ultra wideband, and then the 5G nationwide is the other one, which is like kind of piggybacked on the other thing. But they're not calling the LTE 5G. So you can see like those darker spots on the map. Those are the nationwide 5G areas. And it says it includes 4G LTE coverage. So I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but they also differentiate the regular 4G sections too. So I'm not sure what that means. But for me, like in Connecticut, if I want to, my computer just, this is my little Mac here, it's really slow. If I wanted to go test out the ultra wideband, which is those tiny little towers that they put up everywhere, I have to drive up to Hartford, and it's not even available everywhere. So let me keep zooming in here. This is so slow, I'm sorry. It's in like one spot, and I know exactly where it is. Like there's a little park by the state capitol, so I can just pull in there and just walk around the park and see what I can get. But they want you to be outdoors to get, like you really can't get the performance out of it unless you're outdoors. So the dark red here is the ultra wideband. And so this is the area that it's covering right now. So it looks like my best bet would be probably to take take the highway and just find a spot where I can park and play around with it. Yeah, actually this is where I was talking about here. So and it's kind of weird because this is where the convention center is in this area. So I'd come off the highway, and then there's a park here. The park isn't even covered. In fact, the park doesn't even have the nationwide 5G. But if I sit in the middle of the traffic circle, I can get the 5G. So that's kind of where it is at the moment for that. Let's see where the phone is at here. And let's take a look. So it says hello. It's still, we got about 2 minutes left, and then the phone will be up. But like I said, I don't think we'll be able to run the benchmark on it. We'll try the 3D mark on it and just see what it can do. But it's pretty. I mean, I really like the stainless steel. It kind of harkens back to it's larger, but it kind of reminds me of the iPhone 4. So it's nice and shiny. But again, everyone's going to cover this stuff up with a case. Like honestly, I've had this phone has been in a case since I got it, and I've never looked at the frosty back since I reviewed it. It's kind of crazy. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. I found this button is not very responsive. And my understanding, I think, is that this little spot here is the 5G antenna. Am I right about that, folks from home? Okay, now it's rebooting, so it's almost ready. So we'll let that come back up here, and I'll take some questions in the interim. Oh, there's a SIM removal. Yeah, here's the SIM removal thing. Yeah, Maka says, why even bother with the cable, right? I bet you they figured, like, they probably did focus groups to say, what would like upset you if we didn't include it, and that would be the cable. And I think what they found too is that I'm guessing people that buy these phones have all of those cables there, so that could be what it is. Funster says, so here's the reason why I like having the 5G, the Type-C cable, is because this will, if you have one of those chargers, and I've got a million of them because I review tech products for a living. If you have one of those chargers, the USB-C chargers, this will charge the phone faster. All right, let's let that continue there. And we'll go from there. I may have to jet out in about 20 minutes, just so you know. And give me 1 second here, folks. I just got to send a message to somebody. And I'll do that SIM swap in a minute. I bought an unlocked phone, by the way, so I could use it on any carrier here in the US. But I will likely continue to use it on Verizon. Verizon's like the only thing that works in my house, so that's why I use Verizon. All right, let's see what else we got for comments here. I got a lot of comments coming on. I know I'm missing people, so I'm really sorry because every time I look away, I get like 12 million comments here. So let that continue. And I realize it's kind of like watching paint dry here. What's so weird about Apple stuff? Here's what's crazy. So yesterday we were looking at the Oculus Quest, a really cool VR device. And then we've looked at, we've unboxed other phones live or whatever, but we're getting so many more people watching this because it's Apple. And they just get so much earned media. It's crazy. So there you go. Here's a question. This is a good one. Will it work on a 4G network? Definitely. Yeah, it'll work on 4G. I'm guessing 3G also, if that's what you got. So I think it'll be fully backwards compatible. Joshua Talley says, do you have Verizon because 5G is already active? Yes, I do have Verizon. So now the 4G is not in my neighborhood, or the 5G. And sometimes the 4G isn't in my neighborhood, depending on the day. So there is some nationwide 5G not far from me, which I'm going to try out. And I might take a trip up to Hartford to try out the ultra wideband stuff. All right, we're almost there. Rebooting again. And hopefully my watch will just become part of the new phone here. So let's see. My watch is, I don't know which one my watch is hooked up to. All right, so let me log into the phone real quick here and see if we're ready. Now, you know what's interesting is that it didn't, it rebooted, but it didn't have me type my password in. So that was a little bit interesting. Okay, so now I need to confirm on my Apple Watch. Now, it used to be a real nightmare to move your watch over. I think it's a little easier now. So check on your Apple Watch to confirm pairing and continue. Okay, so I'll hit OK. Oh, no. It didn't pair, did it? Let me see what it's paired up with. See, now I got to go through this whole thing again. Oh, no. Didn't find it, did it? Well, that's going to be something we'll have to do later. Oh, pair watch with new iPhone. Okay, so now I'm getting a, do you want to pair your watch? Yes. And I got to put my passcode in. So let me do that real quick. And now it's doing that thing that takes forever. So that should work. Because it used to be you had to like disconnect it from the old phone and then go through this whole huge process. So hopefully now this will be a little bit easier. So we'll let those two things communicate there. And as you'll see here, see how all these apps are kind of dimmed out? And that's because it's going through the process now of downloading all of my apps to get it synced up. So this will take a while. But I can start using the phone. So once I put the SIM card in, if I get a call, that will just work. And the SIM slot here is on the side. I don't know if it shouldn't have a SIM card in it because I did not specify a carrier. Let me see. Let's see if it has one. Yeah, no SIM on there right now. So I'm going to have to put my Verizon SIM in there and get that going. So let me do that real quick. And we will bid adieu to the old phone here, at least as far as cellular is concerned. And we'll pop that one out real quick. But it's good though. I mean, everything just kind of comes back to life on you there, so that's always good. And what's always intrigued me is just how long it takes for the watch to pair up. It just takes so long. I'm not sure what the deal is there. All right, so now I've got my SIM card out. This SIM card has seen better days, so I don't know when these things go bad, but because this SIM card I've had for years, ever since the 4G LTE stuff came out. And we're going to pop that in here. And now it should, I'm trying to not show you the screen in case it shows my phone number. I love you all, but I don't want to get a lot of phone calls today because it's Friday, right? So let's see what's happening here. So it looks like it's on Verizon, so the network is ready. So as you can see, maybe hard to see, but my low coverage down here in the basement is got the low coverage, so we're good. So it looks like that happened. And like I said, right now it's just going through the motions of downloading all of the apps and the data and kind of pairing up with that. So the result is that right now, if I were to run benchmarks, this probably wouldn't go as well, but we could try and see. We can run that 3D Mark one real quick and see what we get. It might put stuff in the background if it knows that, if that's what we want to do. So we'll grab the 3D Mark Wildlife benchmark real quick. This one's been an intriguing benchmark. We were doing this the other day with a few other devices. I think I'm downloading too many apps at the moment. I wish it would just work. Because what was intriguing about this new benchmark is that it runs on multiple platforms. So you can compare iOS to Windows, for example, or iOS to the Mac, or to Android. Yeah, it's still. All right, it looks like it's also finding all of my HomeKit stuff. So my front door lock, it just told me it needed an update because I haven't updated that in a while. So that's good. All right, so MacStock says that is, okay, so that is in fact the, oh, I got a message from Verizon. So what did they say? We noticed you switched the SIM card in your 5G device. To get access to the full benefits of 5G, please use the pre-installed 5G SIM card that came with your device. If you're unable to locate the original 5G SIM card or did not receive one, oh, interesting. So maybe I have to do that. Now this could have like an eSIM. Don't these things have eSIMs built in? I wonder. So maybe I'll do that and just kind of pair it up with the eSIM if it has that. Oops. You guys need to, so you probably all have more info on this than I do. Gorman says that the steel band is a fingerprint magnet. It really is. Already I've got fingerprints all over it. And I'll show you. So, I mean, look at it already. It is totally fingerprinted. I kind of like the squared off design. It does feel heavier. It feels heavier and larger, and this is not the big one. So there's two phones. Now, as I was researching this phone versus the other one, the bigger one, the other phone has it's a 5x telephoto versus 4x on this one. But the difference here is that the telephoto lens is a 2.0 aperture on this phone and 2.2 on the other ones. Even though it has more zoom, it's not as fast from an aperture standpoint. So that was of interest. Now here's some other stuff here. Let's take a look at the camera app. So they must have added this in their most recent version of iOS, because this was not there before. Here, let me get the camera zoomed in better. I can just tap on the screen and switch between frame rates and, so check it out. If I want to, so I'm at 4K 60. If I tap that, it goes to 24p. stays in 4K, or I can go to 30 or back to 60. That's pretty cool. Now, how do we enable I'm trying to figure out how to enable the Dolby Vision, because that's the big difference on this phone for me. So let's do a search in the settings for that. Dolby. Is it a setting or it just does it? Let's take a look. I kind of don't want to put this phone in a case. It's so pretty. It's like a piece of jewelry. You know, it's got that, it's that band on it. It just is so fancy. But I'm going to be constantly polishing it. And it's still got like the frosted glass here in the back. So you got, you know, it's made out of glass, this thing. Yeah, we can do a brightness test. Let's take a look. I don't have like a way to measure the brightness, but we can take a look at that. So I'll just put it. I'll put both on the same thing here. So let me just do that real quick. And all right, so we'll be right on the same screen, and I will turn the brightness up on both. So this one's full brightness, and this one's full brightness. So here you go. Let me get these screens out of the way here. I mean, to my eyes, these look, at full brightness, these look exactly the same for brightness. So it's a little washed out on camera, but it looks about the same. Oh, get this one, everybody, from Baraskaya. The funniest part is the iPhone 11 18-watt charger cannot fast charge this iPhone. Wasn't that great? Well, it's a good thing I didn't buy that one. I usually, you know what I use most of the time are wireless chargers. So I have this one here. And I like this one because when I do my, my Amazon chats for the Amazon live stream, they only work on the phone. So what I usually do is put my phone in this charger, and then it's charging, and I can keep it up and point it at me at the same time. This one's from Belkin. And I like this one quite a bit. Let's see if it works with this phone. Yep, it charges. So that's good. And I would expect it better for the price that I paid for this thing. JJ Wallach was to know, does Verizon have my new ESN? So I have always just done, you know, at least since they switched over to the LTE, because for a long time, Verizon did not use SIMs at all. You had to use your ESN. However, I found that I just do a SIM swap and it just goes over. So I could take this SIM card. I've done this before. I take the SIM card out of the phone and pop it in an Android phone like the Pixel phone we just reviewed. And it just works. It's really slick. So that's what I do. Although I think if this has an eSIM, I'm probably going to switch my account to that. And I'll need to investigate that a little bit more. And let's see what... And so Joshua says, I need to enable my plan. So I got to go on Verizon's website. Maybe I should call them and say, hey, I just got this phone. How do I get this to work? Because I didn't order a Verizon phone. I don't like to lock my phone in just in case. I'm a consumer that likes choice. And if they're not going to give me a deal, why should I lock the phone to them? So I just bought the unlocked phone. I probably should have bought the Verizon one, and I could have unlocked it later. Maybe they come unlocked already. So maybe I'll try that. But Funster says it does have, yeah, I think I'll just use the eSIM if it has one. So I just need to research that. Because I think the way these work is that they have an eSIM inside, which I guess is the modern equivalent of an ESN, right? Or in addition to. And then you could probably put another SIM card in and switch carriers, right? That's probably, it's like having two. So we'll have to see. All right. So yeah, so it's still downloading all of my apps. This does take a while for it to do all of that. But let's see if that 3D Mark thing came down yet, because I could, it's still downloading. All right, we'll give that a second. I really am eager to do the benchmark on this, because I'm curious to see how it performs. So what else can I do with this thing? I mean, it's an iPhone, right? I can take video. I don't even know where the Dolby Vision setting is, because it doesn't seem to like enable itself. And the other question is, like, how do I even watch the videos on it? I guess if you have like an Apple TV, it would work with that, with Dolby Vision. Is that something we would do? Yeah, Evan's got a good comment here. That's what I should do. I'll have to walk around with a microfiber to wipe my phone down wherever I go. See, normally I would, before the pandemic, you'd go out to lunch with somebody. Oh, is that the new iPhone 12? Oh, sure is. And they would handle it, and you want to clean it off, and not anymore. When I got my first iPhone, it was crazy. It was nuts. I got the iPhone. I wasn't planning on buying the iPhone, but my wife was away. This is before we had kids. My wife was away, and I was home alone. I was bored, and I knew the iPhone was coming out. So I said, oh, I'll just go up to the mall and buy it. What the heck? So I bought the phone. And then, what do you know? I'm like the star of everybody because everybody was so curious about it. It was such a unique thing. It was so, it was so much more capable than other phones at the time. But I think it looks nice. Again, this is the smaller of the two. The other thing we can look at here is the difference on the bezels. So you can see the new phone is physically larger, but it is making more efficient use, I think. The bezels look a little thinner on the new one. The new one's right here, of course. So they did go a little larger on it. And that, I was quite happy with the size of the old one. And so both of them, it almost feels like, and maybe it's just because it doesn't have the curve on it because it's more of a flat piece of glass. The display at an angle looks like it's closer to the glass than before, although there wasn't much of an air gap or any air gap really on the old one. But it just looks, I think it's because it's a flat design versus the curved glass. I think that does make it look a little nicer. And Gorman says, oh, the telephoto is only 2x zooms. Where was I seeing 4x from? Let me go back to the Apple iPhone 12 specs and see. I'll see what they say about that. I'm just going to turn my Do Not Disturb on here. So iPhone 12 Pro specs. And I'll pull these up for you so you can see what they are. And it's got the OLED display, which everybody's got now. And I had that on my iPhone 10, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So here, let's pull this up real quick. All right, so 12 Pro and then the 12 Pro Max. So I bought the 12 Pro, and it's a 6.1-inch display. And so even though the other display has more resolution, the points per inch are the same because this display is larger. It's just it has more volume to fill, right? So those are all the same. Both have the A14 Bionic. And then this is where things get wacky on the cameras. So the telephoto, and this is like one of those things. So the telephoto on the iPhone 12 Pro, the one I have, has a better aperture. What does that mean? Well, it means in low light it will be slightly better. It looks like my watch paired up now. In low light it's going to be slightly better. And you might get a little more natural bokeh on the telephoto lens than you will on the 12 Pro Max. It's not that big of a difference in aperture here. I think it's probably one stop difference, but that can be a difference. So if you're looking for the fastest telephoto lens, the telephoto is going to be better. And you're correct. So the iPhone 12 Pro, the one I have, has a 4x optical zoom range. Okay, versus 5x optical zoom range on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. But this is where you get into these semantics, because I think when they say 4x, are they saying from the super wide angle lens to the telephoto, like that range is optically 2x, right? Because you're going from one to the other? I don't know. So it might be that the telephoto lens on the Pro Max is a little closer, because the digital zoom also gets a little extra bump there as well. But I think that's the only real difference, because I did look at this page earlier and looked for any mention of the Max. And honestly, I will take a faster aperture, a wider aperture over zoom any day, because I can always walk closer, right? And it can do night portraits by the LiDAR sensor. I'll have to play around with that a little bit. But the rest of it's pretty much the same. Video recording, here's another slight difference here. Again, 5x on the Pro Max, digital zoom up to 7x. Yeah, so this is all marketing here, right? And here's the true depth camera. This is the front-facing camera, I believe. Am I not mistaken about that? Yeah, I think that's the front-facing camera. And it can do 4K at 60. Face ID, everything else is the same. So it's pretty much the same. There was a time when the larger phone had a better camera system, because I bought the iPhone 7 Plus because my iPhone, because it had the dual cameras for portrait mode, which the other one didn't have. And it looks like we're making progress here. The apps are installing, so most of the front page apps are done. I'm just going to see if wildlife, yep, okay, it's ready. So we're going to run this benchmark and see what happens. I'm going to run it again before I do the review because obviously that's going to make a difference here. Emily says the iPhone Pro 12 looks cool. It does look cool. I love the band on it, and it's also a lot flatter. It doesn't have the curvature on the side, so I think that makes a difference. I'm going to probably add a little bit to my unboxing video before I shut down for the evening. Eric says has the 11 Max Pro. Does he think I should go to the 12? I think the 11. So he's got the larger 11 Pro. I'll tell you what. I did not feel. I usually upgrade my iPhones every 2 years. And the only reason why I did this is because somebody on my chat the other day said I should get one. And I said, you know what, let me get it just for the heck of it. I think there's not a big gulf in performance with this new one. It's a little prettier, but functionally I think it's very similar. And from the performance standpoint, we'll see what happens when this test concludes. And again, I'm going to run this again before I do my review because we're still doing some background restoration tasks. But honestly, like if I wasn't doing this for a living, reviewing phones, I would not have bought the 12 Pro this year, just because it didn't have anything that was all that compelling. I think if you are in a 5G area, that might be a reason to look at it, because that's the huge differentiator. Although I think we're going to see some improvement in video quality, video recording quality. So we'll see. And this test is the 3D Mark Wildlife test, which we just started running. We had a whole stream the other day where we were going through all this stuff. And I'm trading in my old phone. That's why so I'll offset the cost a little bit. These phones are expensive. And I'll tell you what, we looked at that, that Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4a. If you don't need all this fancy stuff, it's a decent enough phone. Okay, so we got a score. And let me go over to my benchmark sheet here. By the way, if you go to Lon.TV/benchmarks, you can see what I'm filling in right now. And here's something of interest, folks. So let's go over to my chart. And again, we're still restoring, so I'm not going to say that this is a definitive number. But the score we got was 6325. Yeah, something's not right here because the old iPhone with the A13 did better. So I think because this phone is doing a lot of background tasks right now, it's not where it needs to be. Because this right now is 6325, and my old phone got 6987 at 41 frames per second. This one was 6325 at 37 frames per second. So I have a feeling that because of all the restoration that I'm doing, that we're not there yet on understanding what the A14's performance should be, because this should be faster than last year's phone on that test. So we'll have to play that out. So cameras, pretty much the same as before. In fact, if you look at the back of these phones, they look almost identical, right? So you have the super wide camera. The difference now is I think this is the LiDAR sensor here. So am I right about that? Maybe not. That's just a bigger light sensor. I think the LiDAR is on the front. You have three cameras. So one is the super wide angle, which I love. I've taken some really cool pictures with that. You got the regular standard lens, and then you have the telephoto lens. And like I said, the smaller phone here, the non-Max, has a faster telephoto lens, 2.0 versus 2.2. Again, not huge, but enough that it would make a little bit of a difference in low light for sure. And we've got a bunch of photos that I have to take before I do my review. This is like usually it's a couple of days of me just kind of messing around with the phone to get a feel for it. And it's harder too when the differences are so minute between one phone generation to the other. The good news though is that my watch is now paired up, so that's all set. So my watch has automatically transferred over from the old phone to the new one, so that's good. And we're going to have to figure out the rest of it. Getting some good help here from folks in the chat that the Dolby Vision is activated when HDR is turned on, so that's good. Matt Green says, how much is your data plan? What is the cost? So I have this family plan. I'm in with my dad and my sister, and like the whole family, the extended family's in one plan. I think I'm on the Beyond Unlimited plan, and I think I'm paying, is it like 70, 80 bucks a month maybe? And it's unlimited to a point in that I get a certain amount of data at full speed, and then it throttles me after that. So again, we're going to drive around town a little bit tomorrow and see what I can get going on the 5G. We'll see where we do. David appreciates the brightness test. Awesome. Makamura says, you just need glass armor protector, no case. Yeah, I could probably put one of those glass protectors on there. Here, this is a question. Okay, so this is the other thing that gets confusing. So there's so many different parts out there. So this is the iPhone 12 Pro, and the Pro is different than the regular iPhone 12. So the iPhone 12 is like, it's the old XS or the old regular 11. And it's confusing when you're buying cases because you got to make sure it's like iPhone 12 Pro for the case that you're buying. So let me pull up the iPhone 12 Amazon page here. So this is different than those. And then the 12 is a larger phone than the regular Pro in size, but now they have a smaller phone, which is the 12 mini. So this is the iPhone 12 Pro. Here, I'll pull up my Amazon page here so you can see what I'm looking at. So the one I have is the 12 Pro. The 12 Max is the bigger version. Then you have the 12, which is, I think, in between the size of the Pro and the Pro Max. And then the Mini is, I think, roughly the same size as the regular Pro. So if you like a larger phone, the iPhone, and don't want to spend $1,200 or whatever it costs, the iPhone 12 is a good alternative. However, it does not have the super wide lens, if I'm not mistaken. I think it just has the standard lens and the telephoto lens. And I'll tell you what, if you don't need like a fancy camera but an adequate one, the SE is really good. We reviewed that recently, and I was quite pleased with the SE phone. So there you go. So it looks like our apps are almost done here. The only problem when you do this restoration is that it doesn't tell you when it's done doing it. So it looks like all the apps have installed themselves. So I'm going to run that wildlife benchmark again and see if it does any better. And it could also be that this phone, and here actually it's funny, it kept my results from the last time. So this was the one I ran on the iPhone 11 Pro. So it carried my data over. So let's take a look here and run it again. It's a couple different versions. I'll install the Slingshot also. So let's let that install, and then we're going to run that benchmark again. Because I didn't see results better than what I had before. Ooh, Todd Leskin had a problem. His toddler dropped it in the pool. Oof. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the iPhone 10 was water resistant, but perhaps not resistant enough. Did it break? Sometimes, like when the kid breaks the phone, it's a good excuse to just get another one. My daughter once, when she was very little, she was probably 2 or 3, I was taking a shower, I had taken the watch off, and I don't buy the expensive watch, I buy the entry, the sport model or whatever they call it now. And the reason why I go with the lower cost Apple Watch is because I buy a new one like every 2 years whenever they add a new health sensor. And although the nicer, more expensive Apple Watch, I think they call it the Edition, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about, the one with the GPS and the cellular. It has a sapphire face, but if I'm swapping watches out very frequently, I don't think it's a good idea for me. So these glass displays have about the same strength of the iPhone glass, so they can break and they get scratched up. My old one's pretty scuffed up. So my daughter was like, I was taking a shower and I heard my daughter come in and I heard her kind of shuffling around, and then I heard something fall, like not a loud fall, but something fall off the counter. And then I heard, uh-oh, and then little feet scampering away, and my watch was smashed. But I had Apple Care, and that's why I get Apple Care, because if something breaks, you don't want to deal with that. All right, let's run this test again and see what happens. I have a feeling that there's some optimization that has to happen with this, or perhaps this A14 is not that big of a difference for gaming stuff. So let's see what happens here. So it's running a little bit faster than it was before, so maybe now that all the background installation is done, it might be doing better. It does seem to be running at a faster frame rate now, about 40 frames per second. See, now the other thing is when I go upstairs and my wife sees that I have a new phone, she's going to want my old one. So we're going to have to talk about this, because I did do the trade-in, but maybe I'll get it fixed. I blew out the headset speaker on the old phone. So my wife has the XS, and that's a good phone, or the 10S, I should say. And JFZ says, it looks like the iPhone 4S. It does look a lot like it, doesn't it? All right, so this test is done. Yeah, it's still not doing much better. So we got a score of 6617. And if I go to my benchmark sheet here, it's still performing below the score that I got on the A13. Interesting. Nick F says, watching a past stream got me wondering if vMix, a dump button in case something happens or personal info gets out. Yeah, it's the problem. Yeah, I guess what I could do with vMix is I could try to build in a delay so that I could react to some personal information getting out, because I'm always nervous about that, especially when I'm using my personal phone, for sure. I don't think anything got out in this stream. If it did, let me know. So we'll see what happened there. Yeah, so this was not a good result. I mean, it's not bad. It's still a good performing phone versus others. But when you look at, here, let me pull this back up here. When you look at the scores here, the iPhone Pro 11, my old phone, was actually doing better on this test, or about the same. So we're going to come back to this. I'm going to reboot the phone later and go through the whole iPhone. Actually, we should say iPhone 12 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro is probably the proper name for this. Oops. And this is an Apple A14. And that's the other thing I've noticed, that not all Apple chips are performing the same, even though they are the same designation. So for example, well, that's weird. Somebody ran this on their, I wonder if my 11 Pro was in I don't know. So Eyes of Buys the other day ran this on his iPhone SE 2020 and got this score. So something's up with this test, I think. So you know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run, and I got to run in a second here, folks. I'm going to do the slingshot test, and we're going to see how this one fares, because this one is a little bit more. All right, so we're going to do slingshot, and I like to do the unlimited test, and I'm going to turn off the demo real quick too. So let me just turn the demo off. And I run the very same test on all the phones, which is the 1080p version. And you would say, well, why the 1080p version? Well, the reason is that we've been running the 1080p version forever. So let's run the unlimited test here. And this might exercise things a little differently. So the other test that we just ran, The reason why it's able to be multi-platform is that it's using the Vulkan API. And this one, I think, is OpenGL. And I don't believe 3D Mark is using Metal in their performance test, which is the Apple, the graphics API. And Nick says, Nick makes a very good point on the Amazon chat about personal info. I need to think about this more, about how I could do a dump button. And I think it would involve, I know vMix can do this. I'm going to ask on the Streaming Idiots forum. Because I know that vMix can do a delayed broadcast, so it might be something to think about if I notice something personal going out, for sure, because it's bound to happen at some point, although my life is very uninteresting. All right, so 9361 on the Slingshot Unlimited test. So let's pull that result up, and let's see how that compares. Yeah, so check it out, folks. Something ain't right here, and it could just be some optimizations on this new chip versus the old one. But check it out. The iPhone 11 Pro is performing better on this test too. So let's do a reboot real quick, and then I got to run. So let's reboot the phone. And it could be, there could still be some background stuff going on here. That could be driving this as well. So let me power this off. Now my big wish on this phone, which is not on it, I would have loved the fingerprint option in addition to the Face ID, because as you all know, when you're out with a mask on, you have to keep typing your password in to unlock the phone. That is a real pain. And I have very much enjoyed the experience of some of these Android phones again. And here you go. You can see it now booting up. This is the boot speed. And we'll let that come up. See what happens here. Yeah, so I'm not gonna make a judgment on this yet. And I think, okay, so now it's asking for the password to go in. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right. So I would say, like, if this had the fingerprint sensor and the Face ID, instant buy, because that would be so much more convenient. Even when you're driving, because I'll ask Siri, sorry, don't activate. I'll ask Siri to do stuff for me, and then she's like, I'll do it, but you got to unlock the phone first. And before, I could just reach over and put my thumb on the button. Now you got to take the phone out while you're driving and have it look at you, even if you want to pull a podcast up or something. And that's been a bone of contention for me. All right, so let's try this wildlife test again, and let's see if it does anything different this time. This is after a reboot. And again, I think there's probably still some background stuff going on, so I'm going to probably let it sit overnight, and then we'll make a final judgment on that. And we'll see what we get. But yeah, it's funny. They kind of went back to the future on their design. A lot of folks are comparing this to the iPhone 5 and the 4 and the 4S and the 4, because it very much mirrors that design with that stainless steel band. Will we have the antenna gate again? I don't know. Oh, okay. That's still running about the same here. It almost looks like it's frame locked. It's like hitting. You know, I wonder if there's like a VSync feature or something on the display, because it looks like it's not going well beyond 40 frames per second. It kind of feels like it's locked. So I wonder if it's just an odd interaction with these benchmarks. Although the Slingshot benchmark, we were running the unlimited test, that one is rendering off screen, so it's not going to be tied down by a VSync, because it's completely rendering just on the GPU itself without displaying anything. So we'll have to see. And there could be an iOS update too. That might unlock some more performance. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just not any better than my prior phone. Although this could continue yeah, it's still below the iPhone 11 Pro on this benchmark. This could continue the discussion about whether or not the new phone needs to be faster than the old one, right? I mean, it's still going to be fine. I mean, this processor is going to be running OS 10 soon. I mean, the real OS 10 on the computer. So that's that. Let's see if there's a software update available. It says it's up to date. So there's no update available for it at the moment. So I'm going to let it sit overnight. Let it do whatever it's doing in the background. Let it get acclimated to its new home, and then we'll put it to the test again. But it's funny. I don't, on first impressions, I don't feel like this is a big change over my other one. And that's often how I feel. You know, the 11 Pro was a big jump over my 10 because of the added camera, but the screen felt very similar. This screen, although slightly bigger, still looks the same. It looks like it's the same brightness as we tested earlier. And it feels a little heavier and thicker because it's not curved. And a lot of times, like, the curvature is deceiving. So it's intriguing. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, you know, it's an iPhone. And, you know, it's like, you know what you're getting. And it just looks prettier. And I will definitely, so I got to do some research on the 5G. So we got to figure out how to get it to work with Verizon and 5G. So I need to research that. Probably the eSIM thing we need to figure out. And we got to get those performance benchmarks run on here and kind of go from there. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, so the other thing that, and this is it's like, do you have the notch or the punch, right? So I have it right here. So this is the Pixel 5 from Google, which, by the way, has a fingerprint sensor on it. And let me just pop into it real quick. So here, now granted, the difference here, let's get this thing, there we go. The difference here, let me pull up full brightness on this one so you can get a feel for it. The difference here with the Pixel 5 is that you can buy 2 Pixel 5s for the cost of one iPhone 12 Pro. But what they do here is they put a camera notch there versus or a camera punch versus the notch. So it's a matter of what you like. But the Android phones are definitely going in the notch direction versus the whatever that is, the chin. Is that what they call that, a chin? I'm not sure. But I like this Pixel 5. But, you know, performance-wise, you know, just to show you my benchmark again, and again, this is one benchmark, but still a good indicator. So if we jump over to my benchmark and you look at where the iPhone 11 Pro and 12 Pro are at, although I'm wondering why my 12 Pro is not up to where the 11 is. If you look down here at the Pixel 5, it's, you know, significantly, you know, it's like 6 times slower on that benchmark. But what do you do with all that power? I don't know. I don't know. I'm still waiting for the Filmic app that allows me to shoot 4K on more than one camera. That never happened. That was what they were pushing when the 11 Pro came out last year. So, you know, it's one of those things, I think, and this is true of almost every iteration of the iPhone. So let's say you have an iPhone 7, let's say you have an iPhone 7, and you're like, you know, got my 5 years out of it. You go to this, huge update, big change. I mean, it's a whole new world for you. If you go from the iPhone 10 to this, a nice bump. You get the ultra-wide camera, better video options. You know, it's going to feel like a nice upgrade. But a bigger upgrade going from the 7 or the 6 or the 6S. You know, a lot of people are still using the 6S. That's a huge update, and it feels like a whole new, like you got a whole new world going on there. But I can tell you, I'm not going to be blown away by this versus my 11 Pro. I know that, and I knew that going into it. I just bought it because somebody told me to, one of the viewers, and I wanted to review it, so that's why we went in that direction. So, but yeah. Seems like it's working okay. Again, we're going to let it kind of sit overnight and get everything going, and we'll get that all figured out. So Max Stock wants to know, does it come with iOS 14.1? Let's take a look and see. I think it does. So if I go to General About, yeah, it's running 14.1, which I think is the current version. So that is what it has. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as Gormand here about the fingerprint reader. He says that it should have used the iPad Air style, because that would have been awesome. I mean, for the price point, I mean, considering that they saved a lot of money on shipping because they have a box that's half the size, and there's no power adapter, they could have made the fingerprint reader work and put a headphone jack on it for that matter, but I digress. And yeah, it's still not USB-C either. It's still Lightning. So that is that. Superhero Florence wants to know, did this come early? No, this is when everybody else got it, I think, because I ordered mine on the day it was announced, and we'll see what happens there. Hey, John Riggs is here. He wants a phone that can record 4K in selfie mode. Well, let's try that real quick. Let's see if it can do that. So let me go pull up the camera, and that might be a good reason. I'm pretty sure it does do 4K. So I'm going to flip the camera around, and my wife is calling me. Hang on. She's upstairs and she's calling me. Why is she calling me? Hang on a second. Let me just, and maybe the kids are calling me. That might be what's going on. Bear with me, folks. Let me reset here. So, okay, so we're in selfie mode. And if I go to the video mode here, let's see. Yep, 4K 60, right up there at the top. And it looks nice and sharp. I'm pretty sure the 11 did also. I can't do that in the middle of it, but it looks good. I can see the stain of my ceiling up there. Let's play it back real quick and see how it looks. Yeah, it looks good. So, yep, 4K 60 out the front. Done. And I love, by the way, you should check out John Riggs' channel if you haven't. He does some really good retro gaming stuff and some modern gaming stuff too. And he starts off, I love his opening line, which is, how you feeling? And right now, that's a very relevant question to ask. How are you feeling? So there you go. All right, so great of you to be here today, John. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I've got to get going here in a minute, folks, because the kids are calling me now. They FaceTime in the house to me all the time when I'm not up there. And usually what happens is the FaceTime is the precursor to the children invading my workspace. So the other day, my wife, it was about a couple weeks ago, my wife was outside in the garden, and the kids were upstairs, and then they both came down, just like invaded. What you doing, Daddy? So they're good. I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we're hoping to keep them in school for as long as possible, given all the craziness that's going on these days with stuff. Yeah, I think what's great about the video, and I know why John wants to do the 4K selfies, because when you're shooting video, you want to see what you're shooting. And if you're a one-person show, you got to have a monitor to see what you're seeing, and the displays on these are really good. And it's actually kind of fun. I don't do it often, but you know, when I'm in need of another NDI camera, I usually break out my iPad to do that. And having that big of a viewer for your video is awesome. It looks great. So there you go. All right, I'll give you one last look at this thing, and I'm going to probably shoot a little end to my video after I end the stream here, because I'm going to have I feel like I need to do a little first impression thing. So the unboxing was very bland as I'm thinking about what I just recorded. So I want to probably do a little bit more with that. But I wanted you all to get a look at it. And what's great is that I like hearing from all of you when I do these live streams, just to get a feel for, what I should think about covering in the review. And it's hard because, when things are new, when it's a new product concept. And I'll give you a great example. So also today I got in the new Amazon Echo, which is obviously their speaker that you talk to. And when I first did the first Echo, you had to explain what this whole thing is. Like, what do you do with this thing? This is how, what I mean? Like the concept of a voice assistant was a very new and novel concept. So you have to explain that to the audience. Now everybody knows what they do. Everybody knows what an iPhone does. So what's different? What's unique? And that's the tricky part. So, so we're going to take, the camera is really the focus, pardon the pun. The camera is kind of the focus of everything, so we'll probably spend a lot of time on the camera. I have a feeling that we're not going to see a huge difference in benchmark scores, although, again, I'm going to let this thing kind of update itself and get going. It's certainly pretty. It feels nice in the hand. I almost not want to put a case on it. It feels so nice, and it looks so nice. So, we'll have to see how all that comes together. But, yeah. All right. Some questions here. Can the 8BitDo SN30 Pro work with the iPhone 12? In my prior testing, it didn't. and it is upstairs right now. Well, do I have another 8-bit DOE controller down here? Let's see. I've got more stuff on the floor here than I know what to do with. I have this one. Is this, that's the 2.4 G one. I will find out. I don't believe so, because I did test when iOS 14 came out on my iPad, and I don't think it was working with it. So unfortunately, no, which is weird, because if you put it in X input mode, the 8-bit DOE controller works fine with the PC. The PC sees it as an X input controller, but on these phones, or at least on, and actually on Android too, it works as an X input controller. But on iOS, so far, I've only been able to get PlayStation and Xbox controllers to work. That's it. Nothing else. Peter says, can I get 5G at my location? So the answer to that is mixed, because where I am, no. In fact, I have no signal down in the basement here at all. But I can get 5G nationwide in a neighborhood not far from here. So I'm going to go down there tomorrow, and I'm going to test it out and see what I can get on the nationwide 5G, which is different than the ultra-wideband 5G. And then I might drive up to Hartford over the weekend, which is crazy. I haven't driven up to Hartford since March, but I might go up to Hartford just to get out of the house for a little bit. And there is a small section of Hartford that has ultra-wideband towers there. So I'm going to give that a shot and see what happens. I do need to figure out how to activate the eSIM versus the SIM I just put into it. So we'll experiment with that as well and see what we can do with it. All right. So everybody, I am going to call it an evening, because I still have a little bit of daylight. I want to get the dog out and get out and walk the dog. I want to do that, and I also want to start playing with my new phone, and hopefully I don't drop it when I'm out walking the dog, because that would really stink. That did happen to me once. So it's like taking the new car out for a ride and then boom. And you know, the kicker is, this is what's happened. So the last couple of years, when the new iPhones come out, there's a show in New York City that I would go to called PepCom, and usually there was a case maker at the show handing out samples of cases. So I would always get my case a day or two before the phone would show up. So I was always set with a case. And this year, of course, no PepCom in New York City. So no case. So we'll have to just be careful out there when I go take the dog out for a walk. All right, everybody. I think, let's see if there's any more questions that are relevant here. I think we're good there. Okay. So I'm going to check out here. Oh, let me take this one more question here. So 'cause I think these are good questions that I think we'll answer in the review also. And I answered one of these on the Amazon side also. I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Should I upgrade? I would say probably not, unless, I mean, I think the only compelling reason on this phone would be if you wanted to go to 5G. If that's important to you, if you got some ultra-wideband tower outside your door, you know, then this might be worth it. If you like the stainless steel, maybe, if you like the aesthetics. You got LiDAR on this one. It might do, you know, like there's some small things that might be better here versus what you have, but I don't think it'll be significant. But you know what I want to check real quick, if John Riggs is still here, is can the old phone do 4K out the front? I'm pretty sure it can. So this is my old phone. This is the 11 Pro. Yeah, it does 4K 60 on the old one too. So if you get a refurbed 11 Pro, John Riggs, also 4K 60 out the front. Wait, sorry. Yep, still good. So that's, I was reminded of that this one does do 4K 60 out the front too. So you can get either phone, Mr. Riggs. So good stuff. And you know what's even better, everybody? What's even better is that I've been now live streaming for the last 2 or 3 weeks with my new internet connection, and it hasn't disappeared. We haven't had one blip, nothing at all, because this fiber optic cable that's in my basement over here, it goes 6 miles right into the head end. Like I am like transmitting light from here to there. There's nothing in between me and the head end. It just goes right in. And it has been, the uploads have been, I mean, like, I kid you not, 45 minutes to an hour now is 45 seconds. So that's why I'm on float plane now. Like I can push out so much more content, so much faster. So it's good. Okay. So I have the new SN30 Pros that work. So I don't think I have I have the Pro Plus, and I did try the Pro Plus with my iPhone 11 Pro, and that did not work. So I need to experiment a little bit more with that just to be certain about that and see. So we'll see what happens. And Sark, I just answered your question. I don't know if you heard me. How do I get my question? Maybe there's a bigger delay today on the chat. But I did answer. So if you have the Max, the 11 Max, probably no big upgrade here. So, all right. So everybody, and oh, the headphone jack. Yeah, there's no headphone jack on this one either. That was from Brian here. What's interesting though, this is what was really kind of funny about the Pixel 5. This is the Google phone. So the Pixel 5, no headphone jack. The 4a, which is their lower end version, it is the same case. Like it feels, this one's a little bit nicer in its rigidity, but I mean by and large they built it into the same case size and molding and everything. Headphone jack on the 4a, no headphone jack on the 5. It's just like it's a premium feature not to have a headphone jack because every low end phone out there, at least most of them. There's very few low-end phones without a headphone jack, but the high-end ones from the same manufacturer don't have them. So crazy stuff. Okay, everybody. I am going to call it an evening, or at least an afternoon, and I will be back again streaming before you know it. So set your notifications. By the way, if you are watching me on YouTube, you can continue to do so. I'm not going away from YouTube, but I am trying to build up my follower count on Amazon. So if you click on the link in the video description and go over to Amazon and follow me there, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to build up a higher base of viewership. And why I'm trying to get more folks on there is that we're going to be doing these occasional live streams on Amazon where there's discounts for stuff, and it's good stuff. So if you want a good deal, follow me on Amazon so when we have one of those deals, you can get in on it. So that would be great. Okay. That's going to do it for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, we got a super chat from a last-minute super chat here from Toys R for Boys, I believe, came in with that one. Thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. Okay. So, everybody, I will catch you all on the flip side and have a good afternoon. And thank you all for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to say goodbye to the Amazon folks here, and I will also say goodbye to you all on YouTube as well. So thanks again, everybody. We'll catch you very soon.